Hello everyone and welcome back to another video from my channel Hybrid Mod Railway. Today we're going to be conducting a full test of the layout to make sure that everything works properly and as it should. So, I don't know why I haven't done it up to this point. I haven't actually run trains in quite a lot of the places on my layout. Obviously, as you know, I've run it on all the three main running lines because obviously I do those in streams and I have done them in running sessions. But you might be surprised to hear that I haven't actually tested the engines everywhere. I've only just recently pinned down the lumbar siding, which is just behind the coach that's behind the 9F now. And I haven't actually been in all the sidings and tested all the point work on the coal yard siding, which is just in front of the 9F now. So what we're actually going to be doing today is conducting a full test of layout to make sure that everything works. I've rigged up an old controller. In fact, it's the controller with the thermal cutout problems. The controller with the thermal cutout problems is currently wired up to this siding here, which comes off the second radius running line. That's just storage for wagons or engines and whatever. And then round this curve here we're going to have like a water siding and a coaling tower. Now it's this controller here. This is the controller that had the thermal cutout problems. I didn't want to wire up this one temporarily because the connections are kind of difficult to get to at the back, and this controller's connections here are permanently into the side, so it's a lot easier to just use the wire that comes straight off this controller, and you can see some wires there that rig everything up. So this controller is currently powering this siding, this second radius running line, this siding over here, and this large siding at the back over here. I have recently got two other controllers, and I'll tell you that story maybe in a few weeks' time when I come to tell you about my collection of stuff I've just got. There will be a video about that, not an unboxing video, but just a collection of stuff I got, and I won't tell you the full story because I'll do a video on it in a few weeks' time. But I just wanted to rig this up so I had a chance to power the unpowered sidings and the second radius running line, just so I could test everything for this video. So I've rigged this controller up to the lines which I've just mentioned. However, even though we all know that these three main running lines do work, I will include the test in the video. Well, it's not really a test, I'm just going to be running the 9F on the three main running lines, just so we can say we've completed the layout, and also it means if we run it on each line, I won't be plucking the 9F and the coach off by hand and moving them onto the other line, because I am doing a video that's testing the whole layout. I can actually test the point crossovers that move from the fourth to the third and the third to the second running line, so that'll be quite interesting. So we'll be testing all the sidings, we'll be testing both my runaround loops, the main loops, the point crossovers. Every part of my layout is going to have the 9F and a coach running today. Thought I'd pick the 9F because it's a good strong engine, and with the 5 wheels, if the points are slightly skewy or whatever, then with having the 5 driving wheels on each side, then that means it's probably more likely to derail. And also the tender going backwards isn't so good, so if the tender derails too much going backwards, then I might have to make some adjustments to the point work. But other than that, it should be okay. And I've just put a support coach on the back, but if the support coach causes the tender to derail, because this is the only problem with the 9F, the tender's far too light, and I'm scared of taking the tender body off because of all the loose details. But if this tender body if the tender does keep derailing, then I will take that coach off, because this is a problem with the 9F. If the tender derails constantly, then that probably will indicate something that's wrong with my point work. But if it just does it once or twice, then that's just a general problem with the 9F. So without further ado, let's commence the test of the layout. So we'll just send the 9F off and go in first. And we'll give her a lap, and then we'll bring it back over to this area here. Let's speed her up a little bit. So, as we know, there won't be any problems here. You've seen the 9F run on this outer line many times during my streams. So here's the 9F, and this gives us an opportunity here to move the 9F onto the third radius siding, which I can do by using these crossovers. So I'll open those points, set the 9F to backwards on this controller, and because the 4th radius line runs this way, but the 3rd radius line runs that way, that means I can have the 3rd radius line in forwards. If I gently back this up here, and I apply power on the 3rd radius controller, then we should have a nice smooth transition. And I've just accidentally turned the controller off, that's my fault. We should have a nice smooth transition. Obviously I accidentally turned the controller off there, but that's fine. We should have a nice smooth transition now, and that means we can move over and do the test for the 3rd radius line. Obviously we know it's going to pass. Let's give it a bit more oomph. There we are, that's better. That means we can move over to this set of points for moving onto the 2nd radius line. So I shall open the points, and in fact I shall shut, the ones we've just been over are already shut. So we need it in forwards now, because the 3rd radius line runs in that direction. So set that to forwards, then the 2nd radius line needs to be in reverse, because it runs that way, and we obviously go in that way, so that's in reverse. Apply a little bit of power on the 2nd radius controller, turn up the power on the 3rd radius, and once we're over the points, I'll adjust the speed to match with the 2nd radius controller, whose direction I omitted to set for some reason. Should we try that again? Hang on, wrong way. Let's try again. See, that's the thing, the only problem with having this many sets of points is getting used to everything working. Shall I try that again? Right, let's try again. Let's try transitioning this way. And again, I didn't turn up the controller. Just getting used to everything. Let's try again. So, correct direction, power on, reverse. There we are, that was a bit better. We can shut the points, set the direction, and off we go for the 2nd radius test. Now, obviously that test wasn't super smooth because I'm still trying to remember the correct configurations for the controllers, and obviously because the controllers are all different makes, I haven't got any 2 controllers that are the same. It takes a bit of remembering for each locomotive, considering I've got about 10 or 11 now, what power needs to be on one controller and then what power needs to be on another controller to make sure there isn't a drastic rise or slow down in speed as it moves from one zone to the other on the different controllers. And of course, setting the directions, remembering which line runs in what direction and meaning what configuration that means on the controller is quite difficult. So what I shall do now, we shall test the 2nd radius run around loop by backing the 9F up, opening this set of points, setting the 9F in, we'll open this set of points down here, shut that set of points, move the 9F up and round here, and then we can shut the points and go back again if we like. Obviously we wouldn't have just done that for the sake and sending the 9F round for the sake. We would have, of course, left the coach here or the 9F here and moved it round each other. So that proves that that works. So what I'll do now, I'll move the 9F back over to the sections of points, or just before, and then we can test the 2nd radius siding. Right, so here we are, the 9F's just coming round, so I'll open that set of points. In fact, that set of points is already open. Preset it. Let's go pull in there, and we'll go straight up to the buffer stops. area should all work fine. Obviously with this section there is no controller to turn up as I pull into it, because this and this are running off the same controller. For the moment though, it won't stay like that. So going up to the buffer stops, that's worked fine. Let's reverse out and test this siding. Which has worked absolutely fine, and we've reached the end here with the 9F. So we'll move back out and switch back over to the 4th radius line for the 2 4th radius sidings. Now we're going to move from the 2nd radius line to the 3rd radius line. So I'll try and get the configurations all correct. Should have got it right here, which we have. That was a lot smoother than last time, which is good. One thing I always remember to do when I switch from this radius line to this radius line is always shut that point first, just because I do and it's an order. And I always remember to set the controller to 0 and turn it all the way down so it's ready for use later. And that has worked perfectly. Back the 9F up, and we can move over to the set of points for moving on to the 4th radius. And also, I must remember to check the direction of the points before we set it off like that. This video is basically a tutorial on how not to cross your engines over from one rail to another, isn't it? Dear, what am I like? And here's the 9F over at this set of points, so we shall open that one, set the engine in the right direction, set that control to forwards, turn up the power slightly, get the 9F up to speed, move over to the other controller to set the speed accordingly. That's okay. Again, working out the correct power settings for the 2 different controllers for all my engines has been quite difficult. I will change those points, and now we can move over here and test the 4th radius siding. So we have the 9F there, as you can see. Change the points, go in there, get ready on the other controller. There we are. There we are. And we can test these points up here. So these sidings up here are going to be for storing shunting locomotives, which will be switching the freight wagons round and the lumber wagons round at this point over here, which we'll be testing in a moment. So I'll back my 9F out here. When we clear those points, open those, and then we pull into that siding. Could have done this with the 08. Was thinking of doing with the 66, but I just picked the 9F because I can. Once we've cleared these points here, switch that over. Remember to switch that one back as well so it's at normal position. Then we can begin going around this corner here. So we'll go straight ahead, and this track that the 9F is moving on now is where the log wagons, the wood wagons, the tree log wagons, whatever you want to call them, will be loaded from the sawmill. So we can see that that's all working fine. Change those points and go forward round into the timber wagon storage siding, which is just round here. Right to the end. That's all fine. And back again. Set those points back to normal, and now we can test the coal siding, and this is where the large travel of the controller pull-out jaw comes in really useful. Means I don't have to be running backwards and forwards on my chair across the loft trying to now change trains before they get too far away from the points. So a bit of power on the siding controller, bit of power in here. That's worked okay there. Set the mainline controller back to 0. Swipe that and we move the train further into the siding. So just moving around the top here, nothing else apart from a curved straight track to where we are now on this straight. Going around the inside of the runaround loop, right to the end. And back, and this runaround loop here, in case you're wondering, oh, if you've got any stock, you're not going to be able to move the stock around the runaround loop if you had to. Well, no, this runaround loop is just for moving engines around the stock rather than stock around engines or anything like that. Move the 9F back. And then what I'll do is I shall change the points for the runaround siding, but I shall pause the camera to do that because I don't want to appear on video. And obviously, as I've just said, this runaround loop isn't for using stock around it, it's just for engines only. So obviously, as you can see here, this coach isn't going to fit around the runaround siding, but that still proves that the runaround siding works. Just for moving engines around, not any rolling stock or anything like that. I mean, it could be used to move a brake van if I had to, but it's not really been designed for that. There we are. Let's change these points so we can go this way. Straight across the top. As we can see there, that works absolutely fine. Straight across the top. And yeah, that's worked fine. Into the first curved siding. Should probably name these sidings, shouldn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And that's okay. Shut them, open them. The next siding. And that's okay as well. Right then, I think today's test has been fairly successful. And I think that concludes today's test, everyone. So thank you everyone so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. It's certainly been very useful for me. I've been able to see the 9F and the coach, the test coach I'll probably end up calling it, have worked very well. There's been no problems. The 9F's tender hasn't derailed, which hasn't been a problem. The only thing that has derailed is the back bogey of the coach, because I've mistakenly forgotten to open or shut the points. We have had a couple of issues going over the sets of points that cross between lines, but I think that's really my own problem, just because I haven't got used to setting the power correct on the controllers or the direction, the correct directions either. But yep, today's video has been very reassuring for me, and hopefully interesting for you as well. You've seen a closer in-depth look at some of the areas on the layout. It's been nice to know that all my wiring and my points work and stuff like that is up to scratch. It's all pinned down nicely, and it's all nice and straight, and as it should be. So thank you very much again for watching today's video. I do hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Next week, I know we've had a lot of train spotting videos recently, but next week we've got an extra special train spotting video with a double-header diesel and 60103 Flying Scotsman. Stay tuned and subscribe if you don't want to miss that one, and I'll catch you next week, and in fact I will catch you on Sunday for a live stream. We are hoping for a live stream this week, as last week's stream was cancelled and I don't think we're doing anything this week. So I'll catch you on Tuesday for a Flying Scotsman and a double-headed diesel train spotting video, obviously not in the same time, both at different locations and at different times, and if not, I'll see you in the live stream on Sunday, which will hopefully go ahead as normal. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves, folks. Bye for now.